Hey guys, how's it going? Tom here, the American Prepper. Just gonna keep this short. It's technically first video, but God's just really been compelling me to speak up once and for all. Really get out there. The time we're living in is beyond unprecedented in our lifetime for sure. And I put up a post on Facebook last night. I was gonna put some silver on the marketplace, literally just to get the word out, just make people more aware of it, get it in front of people's eyes, make them think. Got taken down. Honestly, I didn't even read. I'm not trying to be all conspiratorial about it, but it was immediately taken down. So then I just put it up on my page, and again, it really just to get it out there and just make people think. And I got some responses, and some people reached out to me, and I thought, what, okay, stuff that is going on economically. I used to be big into politics as far as just paying attention and stuff. I've been awake and aware since I was a teenager and been paying attention for a long time and reading between the lines. I have learned to read between the lines. What we are about to see on the global economic front, I'm not here to be planting fear in you. I actually have a real chip on my shoulder about a lot of, the prepping channels and the YouTube, people about clickbait. This is definitely what I'm doing here is not to build a following or get a bunch of clicks or watches or shares. I mean, that's all good in that getting the message out, but I'm here to be a messenger. I'm here to be a messenger and hopefully open people's eyes to some things, help people get in front of some things, just understand the world a little bit better so that they can navigate what's coming a little bit better, which honestly, you guys, it's just going to be rough. It's just going to be rough. It's going to be rough on us. I'm not the guy that's, I've done everything, I'm ready to go. That is, no, it's going to be rough. But I'm going to talk about a lot of things on this channel. I'm not just a one thing. But today I'm going to talk about silver. Our dollar is at extreme risk. It currently, if you were to look it up, it's going to say it's really strong. The way dollars are measured, the way currencies are measured are, for example, in the DXY dollar exchange, where they compare it to other currencies around the world, basket of currencies. And so because Europe is struggling so badly, and I mean, they are on the brink of economic collapse. I do not say that hyperbolically. They are hanging by a thread. Our dollar looks strong. There's some news coming out that China is about to dump the remainder of their dollars. The consequences of which will drive the 10-year yield up drastically. Interest rates will go up higher. I mean, I don't think anybody January 2022 would have guessed that we'd be at 7% interest rates on a 30-year mortgage. We're going to be at 8, quite possibly by the end of October, and we might be at 10 at the end of the year. I mean, I know how insane that sounds. I'm not saying it to get attention or to scare you. I'm just taking in information and data and going, well, it is what it is. Like I said, nobody thought we'd be sitting at 7 right now. Here we are. But I want to talk about silver. Silver is poor man's gold. It can hold value when, say, your paper currency devalues drastically. Silver comes in a number of different forms. It can be, I really only got a couple things out here, but you have the classic 1 ounce rounds, like here. What am I doing here? With a little buffalo on the back. This one's got a little special mint mark, so it can be verified to be authentic. And then you've got, this is actually 40%, but this is called junk silver, actual coinage. I know it sounds like silly to call it junk silver, but 64 and earlier, dimes, quarters, half dollars, silver dollars, or 90% silver. And then for a few years after that, they went down to 40% silver. Then we went to the petrodollar. and nothing was actually had any real good metal in it anymore. That's a story for another time. But there's a couple ways you look at it. You can look at silver as an investment where you might hold large amounts. It's very heavy. There's some risks to that, right? There's a lot less risk in that your only risks are your ownership and holding of it. Obviously it could be stolen. It could be lost. It could, that kind of thing, blow away theoretically in a hurricane. Probably not. Get lost in a boating accident. Funny internet joke, beat to death. But it could be held in large bars as an investment. But a lot of people, I just personally say it starts with just the ability to barter. It's a hedge. You don't need, everyone should have some, in my opinion, that if we experienced a drastic change economically, that we would have some precious metal, some, to exchange value with our neighbors and community, to just hedge ourselves against our dollar going to zero. I know it sounds crazy. It sounded a lot crazier 10 years ago, whatever, but it's something that I absolutely take into consideration. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not like piled up with silver at all. To me, I look at it as just if everyone in the community had some, then if the world outside of us changed drastically, we could still kind of grease the wheels of the local economy. I'm not saying it would be easy at all. This is some really, really rough stuff, but it would give some liquidity to the local economy, trading and bartering. People don't always have exactly what you need, but you have what they need. Okay, well, give me some silver, and I can go to the other guy who will value silver because everybody values silver because it's precious metal, and I can get what I need from him, and we don't have to find these perfect matches. That's the weakness of a barter system. I'm also, I don't believe that like things are going to be zombie apocalypse. That is not me. It's almost frustrating for a lot of prep-minded people because it doesn't happen that way. Some people wish it would, their bills go away and, it's just a free-for-all. And in some ways that would be easier, I don't know, whatever, it's sort of the wet dream of the prepper in so many ways. But really, life will go on. If you study what hyperinflation looks like in countries where it's actually happened, Austria, Hungary, Weimar Republic, 120 years ago, or Venezuela in the last 10 years, or Zimbabwe in the last 20 years, it's happening all the time. It's happened multiple times. This is not a crazy thing to talk about. The truth is that life does go on. And you still got to go to work and try to make some money, and you still got to, pay your bills. And like it's not as simple as like zombie apocalypse that all bets are off, right? But what was consistent in all those times was precious metals actually went up in value drastically, but it's all in comparison to your paper dollars. But basically, if you had your precious metals on the front end, you're much, 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 much better off than people who are scrambling for them afterwards. There's stories and you can look them up for yourself. I would highly encourage you. I can't give you all the information here, but I would highly encourage you to, I think it's Starlight Academy. I forget that gentleman's name. He talks about a lot about some of the hyperinflation he experienced as a child, but his relatives did. There's some great stuff on YouTube about Venezuela, and there's people who are taking one ringlet off of a gold necklace and buying groceries, and even though the inflation's going up every week, so is the value of gold. So literally that gold necklace, one little ringlet off of it bought groceries every week, so on and so forth. Even though the value of the currency was continuing to drop by exponential amounts. I just want to talk about, there are a couple ways you can find silver. You can go online. I'm a big fan of SD Bullion. I don't have any relationships. I got like no followers on this channel, okay? I'm going to be sharing this out directly with friends. That's how I'm going to use this platform, I guess you could say. I'm not making money off of this. This is just, I'm telling you what I've done, and you do your own and figure out better ways for all I care. SD Bullion's good. I believe that stands for like South Dakota Bullion. I've gone to my local pawn shop, coin dealer. Well, I don't even have coin dealer, but I guess they're kind of like that. There's a place called AppMex, American Precious Metals Exchange, but they charge you more. But you can go online and get it online. There's a paper trail. So if you're concerned about the government knowing who bought what when, if this stuff were ever to be confiscated, or and that's a whole nother kind of thing. But if we go into a central bank digital currency, there will be people who live in that system, and there will be people who might decide to live outside of that system. We've had a lot of that going on recently with mandates and things like that. So some people, let's just say if we're planning on not entering into that central bank digital currency system where everything is trackable and they can turn your money on and off, or let you buy certain things and not let you buy certain things, and maybe you're radicalized, or maybe you have the wrong religion, or maybe you have the wrong, maybe you've exercised your right to free speech in the wrong way, that kind of thing. If you're not going down that road, you may not want them to know that you got some of this to continue being able to interact economically with the rest of the world. If that's the case, then you're going to want to go to your pawn shops, local people, other people who have silver. I've seen it on Craigslist. And otherwise, you can buy it online, and they'll ship it to you, usually over $200. Shipping's free. You can do all that stuff. But there's junk silver, which is coinage, and that's smaller. This is a 50-cent piece. It's only 40% silver, but there's also 90% dimes. So if you're thinking about transacting with it, bartering, then you want to look at smaller pieces, because this is 1 ounce of 0.999 percent pure silver. So that could be when this could skyrocket right now. As the day that this is recorded, the spot price is around 18, but with a premium, and I'll talk about that in a second, you're going to take delivery on this, call it $25, whatever. This is a big chunk. And when the time comes that you're actually needing it, this might buy a milk cow. I don't know. I'm just theorizing it, for an example. This might buy a milk cow. I don't know, the value of this could be substantial. So I might want something smaller, or I didn't even bring a dime out. Even, the size of a dime, to make smaller transactions. Buy a loaf of bread from my neighbor who got into baking, or whatever. You get the idea. So there's different denominations. Generally speaking, unless you are going straight investing in, and you just want big old bars, I don't recommend buying anything. And this is me personally. I'm not. Someone else is going to disagree. I'm like, I don't even disagree with their disagreement. Like, everybody can be right on some level, but I don't buy anything in silver really larger than this. I'm not saying I wouldn't consider a 10-ounce bar, but that's how I look at silver. Gold is your concentration of wealth, your true wealth preservation. I have heard, I'll just tell you right now, I've not verified this, but I've heard that when there was hyperinflation in Berlin, 1 ounce of gold, Lynette Zhang, check her out, ITM Trading, I believe, give her a shout out. I've watched her for years and years, even when she was just more on interviews, but now she has a channel, ITM, I think you got to pay for more of it, but she's a smart lady. More preppers need to listen to that kind of stuff, to be quite honest with you, and whatnot. But I believe she said that in Berlin, you could buy a city block of real estate with 1 ounce of gold at one point in history. This gives you an idea of having the right thing at the right time, being early to the game, because obviously you can't afford that ounce of gold at that point, you know what I mean, when it's worth a city block. But if you just happen to have the foresight it can go a long way. It can. Now, I also want to be clear. I'm not saying for everybody to just like go 100% into this. Like, everything in moderation. You got to be smart, you know, the same way that don't buy only bullets and guns, and don't buy only food, and, you know, don't, you know what I mean? Like, don't buy only this, that, or the other thing. It's a balance, right? It's a balance. Don't go crazy. You know, I would typically, for years and years, you know, we just buy a little here, buy a little there. And I mean, like, a little. Don't be embarrassed if you only buy $200 worth. You know, you buy what you can afford. But I'm telling you, it's one of those things that a little bit can go a long way. So that's, a last thing I'll explain about, because it's kind of like a video for newbies kind of thing, or I don't mean to be rude, I'm not trying to be condescending. A video for folks who maybe aren't super aware of how this all this might work. But the spot price is what silver is traded on in paper in the stock market, so to speak. And it goes up and down, and, you know, it's been at 30 and it's been at 18 and high as 50 or something. And historically, a lot of people expect that number could go substantially higher, but it doesn't matter if it does. I'm here to tell you that's not why I buy silver. It's not as a potential 10x or 100x investment. That's not why I buy silver. But it's traded on paper. That market is heavily manipulated. The premium is what it costs to get it physically delivered, to hold it in your hand. You can trade paper all day long, but you don't own anything. You don't own anything, really. And it's highly manipulated. So, in my opinion, do not let your financial advisor talk you into buying PSLV or SLV. Now, PSLV is physical. It's actually allegedly backed and held in the COMEX, the Commodities Exchange. But my personal opinion, you don't own it unless you hold it. And it can be difficult seeing that, it's trading at $18, but in order for me to get it, it's $24, $25 or whatever, $30 even. Don't let that dismay you, because why are you purchasing it? Answer that for yourself. I'm purchasing it for a specific time, place, event, purpose, and that's the only thing it needs to serve. You buy a generator on a nice sunny day, your power's on and everything. You could easily be called a moron by one person, right? What the heck you need a generator for? Your power's on, you know, you got everything you need. There's no weather in sight. You're a moron. Well, that's not why I'm buying. I didn't buy the generator for today. You know, I'm not buying this $600, $700, maybe $10,000 piece of equipment for today. I'm buying it for when I need it, when it will really pay off to have it on that day. Don't stress too much. Obviously look for good deals, but don't stress too much about premiums. As long as you know what your purpose is. I'm going to leave it at that for now. It's longer than I expected to go. Share this with friends if it's helpful. Again, I'm not here to create a following or get a bunch of likes and shares. Obviously, it helps get the message out, but I'm here to be a messenger. And that's what I'm going to try and be in the coming weeks and months. It is so difficult to convey without sounding like I'm just trying to freak people out how serious the coming months and weeks are going to be globally, but for all of us. So hunker down, pray into this, stick together, build your community, because number one most important prep is who you know, who you can trust with your wife and children's life. That list is probably pretty short. If it isn't, you are a blessed man or woman. I'm out.